Travis with UtvWindowTint today. We're going to tint a Ranger 1000. This is a crew cab machine. We're doing ceramic 20%. So we're going to show you guys how to tint your own machine with our install kits. So first things first is we're going to remove the back window. So it's just these two cam locks at the top, and you're just going to push the back window through your machine. A friend probably would help, but today we're just going to set this on the tonneau cover. So once the back glass is out, I would suggest doing this on like a sawhorse. We got this painter stand set up here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to set this guy up and I'm going to lay him flat down. You don't have to necessarily remove these brackets, but I'm going to on this machine. These are the bottom window brackets that hold the glass into the machine. To remove, you just need a Phillips and a 10mm. So we're just going to simply loosen these up. There's a washer on the outside of the glass, a little plastic washer. Just make sure that you put that back where it belongs. I'm just going to set the hardware off to the side or on the ground. Loosen these two up. We're going to get these out of the way. I am going to leave the lock and rides in there. They're not in the way. Technically, these aren't in the way either, but for the little bit of the 3 minutes of extra work it takes you, it does make it a little bit easier. So today, the biggest prep thing we're going to need is we're going to need the blue scrubby. If you guys bought the master install kit, it did come with the blue scrubby in the master install kit. You will need razor blades also. That did come in the master install kit too. So now that these are off and out of the way, we're going to set our machine up. We're going to want to take a rag and we're going to want to wipe down both sides of the glass. We're going to want to wipe out we're going to want to wipe down the outside of the glass and the inside of the glass, and I'll show you why in a second. So cleanliness is very important when it comes to window tinting. If these side gaskets are really dirty, what will end up happening is you'll drop dirt into your film. So we want to just take this towel. We want to wipe down everything. We want to wipe down the lock and ride, get everything clean. I'm using my soap slip solution. You can use glass cleaner. If this is really dirty, I would suggest taking a garden hose and like hand washing this as if you washed your car or truck. So we're going to wipe that out. Then we're going to flip the glass over. And we're actually going to set this up. So we don't want to do anything to the tint straight up and down because that's all the contaminants that are falling out of the sealing and they're going to get in your tint job. So we want to set it on the platform like that where it's kind of vertical. And again, we're just going to come and we're going to wipe all of this down. Today we're going to show you the reverse roll method to install window tint on this machine. So I want to make sure we wipe all this down because it's incredibly important that that is cleaned. I'm going to wet the glass. I got the tint already set up, so I'm going to bring the tint over here and set it on the outside of the glass. Just going to make sure that the excess is trimmed off, that way it doesn't interfere. This is the lock and ride cutout, and then this is for the bottom cutout. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up exactly the way it would go. Right now the liner side is facing towards me. So we're going to set this on the glass and we're going to show you. So this is the liner and then this is the sticky part of the film. So we want to keep that clean. We want to keep that protected. The liner ultimately going in the garbage, but the film we need to protect. So we're going to wet this down. If you bought the master install tool kit, it comes with a soft squeegee. We're going to squeegee this out and that's just going to anchor it to the glass. So now this is going to be a reverse roll. We're not quite ready to install on the machine, but we're going to show you how to get the film ready too. So I'm going to lift my liner, leaving the film to the glass, lift my liner about halfway, and as I do this, I'm just going to wet my glass or my film. I don't want to rinse any of the dirt from above. So what I mean by that is I don't want to take and rinse up here in this channel and rinse the dirt that could potentially be in there into my film area. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave this so it's down on the glass and I'm going to lift to my halfway point. And again, I'm going to mist. And with a spray bottle, you just want to make sure you did it kind of what I did there. And we're just going to let that back down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to prep this for a reverse roll. So I'll roll from this side going that way. So we're both together, and we're just going to roll this in on itself. And when we roll in on itself, we're actually going to be able to just roll this up gently. I sprayed a little bit of soapy water on the outside of the film. And we're just going to keep rolling. I'm going to actually pick this up, and I'm just going to keep rolling. I'm rolling really soft and gentle with my fingertips. Now, the important thing to remember is this is the bottom half because of the two cutouts, and this is the top half for the lock and ride. So now what's going to happen is I've rolled this all up. When I go to unroll this, the liner will drop to the back side here where my fingertip is. And when I go to unroll this, this is actually the sticky side of the tint. So now my film is completely protected. I don't have to worry. So now the liner and the film are there. So this can't get dirty this way. So I'm going to set this on a rag off to the side, remembering what side is up and what side is down. And then I'm just going to wipe off the outside of my glass and get my tools to do the install. So we're going to flip the glass over, but before we do so, we're going to wipe off the outside just so we can see what we're working with. We want to see if we have adhesive from the manufacturer producing the glass or dirt. We'll flip this over. Again, we don't want this facing upwards. We want it to be kind of at a slant, so if dirt does come, it just kind of slopes down. Put these cams in the upright position. Now we're going to mix this water on here, our soapy water mix, and we're going to take our blue scrubby and we're going to scrubby down the glass. Once we got the glass all scrubby down and I'm happy with it, this is a pretty clean machine. So I'm not too concerned, but if you guys trail road your machine, it's very dusty and dirty, this is very crucial. Now I'm going to go back with a brand new single edge razor blade. I'm going to use a very low angle, and I'm just going to razor blade the whole glass. And I want to make sure I'm even getting up here, and that's going to ensure that any contaminants that are kind of glued to the glass aren't going to end up in my film. So at this point, I'm just going to razor blade downwards. I'm listening for contaminants. So I'm just kind of razor blading. So now I don't even think I'm going to do this a second time. This glass is very clean. This must be a really new machine. I didn't actually ask the customer if it was. We have a little bit of water pool right here. That's fine. You can tip the glass and kind of dump that out. That could be contaminated water, so you kind of want to make sure that's gone. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take our pink install tool and we're going to wipe off the blade. You'll need a nice towel. You're going to mist your soapy water solution on here. And you're going to simply start at the top and you're going to squeegee all this out. So when you're squeegeeing this out, you want to make sure that you're getting in this black border. And then you're going to just squeegee down. And what that's going to do is it's going to create kind of a rinsing effect. If you could see on camera, the water is actually rinsing down the glass. And we're trying to ensure that any contaminants are ending at the bottom of the glass. We want a clean work area. So we're about to do a dry install reverse roll. And we really want to squeegee all this standing water to the point where it's not in my work area, or I want to dump it off. So we're just going to drain that out. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just squeegee any excess. I want to squeegee out these sides right here. I pulled all of my stuff this way, so I want to squeegee out this side also to make sure that there's no contaminants. So now I'm going to grab my film. I'm going to make sure I got it the right way. So I'm just going to roll this out. So this is actually my bottom, so I'm going to have to reverse roll this way. And the reason being is the sticky part of the film is right here. So again, we're going to do this as a dry install because there's already water, soapy water in between the film and the liner. We're going to go over here and I'm going to expose my sticky side and I'm going to lay that right onto the glass. So now my liner is actually on the back side right here. And the film's only making contact to clean glass. And it's got enough slip solution where you can maneuver it around. So now we're just gonna walk this across. I'm not dragging my fingertips or anything on the clean area glass. I'm gonna go around the lockouts. See how nice it drops around the lockouts. And then in this last little bit, you kind of don't want that to flop onto the seal because it will pull dirt out of that seal. But now there's a little bit of soapy water in here where I can position this in such a way I can shift it up and down, left and right. I want to make sure that these don't interfere with my cam rides. So I kind of want to position my film. I kind of want to test these to make sure that I'm happy and it's not going to grab the film and rip it off the glass. So once I got it positioned in such a way, we're going to just simply squeegee it out. And I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to take a little soapy water, mix this on here. Again, using my pink card, I'm just going to squeegee this out. I'm going to put a little pressure down, and I'm just going to make sure that I'm not like slipping the film. The film will slip a little bit. So we're just going to squeegee all this out, making overlapping passes. If you did a good job, there won't be much dirt in your film. Squeegee this all upwards. And I'm putting mild pressure. I'm not trying to force the glass off the stand or anything like that. I'm just putting mild pressure. We'll do another pass. I'm going to squeegee this all down. Just want to make sure that we're wiping our blade every couple passes to make sure that it's not picking up a piece of dirt out of the gasket and scratching your film. And now we got it all squeegeed out. Get that water out of there. I would do this piece first, like we're doing on this machine. Then you have ample time for the film to dry before you put the film or the glass back in and run this cam lock. You don't want the cam lock to catch the film and tear it. And you kind of want to be delicate with the film once reinstalling these knockouts. So that's that. We'll mist it again. We'll just do a nice pass over. We're going to do center out. I'm putting decent pressure down now, and I'm doing overlapping passes. If you pay attention to in front of the squeegee, it's actually pushing some of that soapy water out. So we just want to extract as much soapy water out between the film and glass as possible. Doing a dry install will ensure that you don't have too much water to extract. You haven't saturated the glass. And then we'll just go down with this. And we'll wipe after each pass. And just like that, you have a completed back glass that's turned out really clean. There's not much dirt in here. Your environment's going to also affect your result. So if your doors are open, you're blowing dirt into the film area, the dirt will cling. We have the fans off in here, we have the doors closed. All right, so we're on the side of the machine now. What we're gonna do is, since you guys are gonna use the outside of the machine as your workspace, you're gonna wanna wipe it down. So I'm just gonna take our soapy water and I'm gonna mist and wipe off the outside. It is a good idea if your machine's kind of dirty to wash it prior to doing this, but we're just gonna wipe it all down, ensuring that there's no dirt, because we are gonna use this as our work area. So I've wiped this all down. We're gonna actually open up the door now. First window we're gonna do is actually this window here. So if you wanna come on the inside, we can't remove this gasket. This gasket is a fixed gasket. Well, I guess you probably could. You don't have to remove it. If you want to, knock your socks off. But you don't have to remove it. Now that I removed it, I'm gonna have to force it back in there. But we're gonna take, and there's dirt sitting on this. So we wanna just take mist off our whole inside, and we just wanna wipe all the inside gaskets and trim pieces and anywhere the film might accidentally touch. So I'm using my fingertips to work in this gasket area. We're gonna get a brand new razor blade. We're gonna do this window first, the quarter window. We got a brand new razor blade. If you got a master kit, you got 4 or 5 razor blades in that. We're gonna mist our soapy water on here, and we're gonna scrape this glass. So I'm using the razor blade to get behind here and just scrape out all our glass, making sure that it's clean behind there. And I'm gonna do this 2 times. So again, I'm just gonna razor blade it out. I'm gonna mist the glass again, and I'm gonna razor blade it out again. So In the process of doing this, we're checking to make sure that there's not dirt. We're checking to see if any dirt that's glued to the glass is now off. We don't want to trap that between our film. It will create a bubble. Now I have my towel again. This squeegee came in your install tool kit. We're going to be using it for this window. I'm going to mist the glass again. I'm going to use this squeegee to get up and behind this whole gasket, flushing out any dirt, contaminants, hair, sand that could be back there. And we're just going to squeegee all of that out and down towards the bottom. I'm going to wet this window. I'm going to grab my piece of tint from my kit. Again, the liner side's going to want to be towards you. And you're going to want to make sure that this glass is wiped off, not that there's a bunch of dirt that you're going to stick in there. So now it's on the glass. It doesn't really fit, but what we're going to do is we're going to anchor the top half to the glass so it doesn't lift off while we're trying to peel. I'm going to do this window as a dry install just like I did the back. I'm going to peel my liner up and down and away. And I'm going to wet my film. So now that I got my film wet, I'm going to grab the film gently, let it come to the back side, and I'm just going to drop this film onto the glass. And as I drop down, the gasket's going to allow me to put the film in there. And I'm just going to gently and patiently kind of work the film down. And then I'm just going to let the film flop to the top of the glass without touching the side of any parts or components of the machine that would allow me to pick up dirt. And I'm just going to shift this around. So because of my soapy water solution, I can actually shift this any which way I want. So I'm just going to check for gaps all around. I'm going to take my pink squeegee. I'm going to push my thumb into the glass. And that's going to ensure that I'm anchoring my film to the glass, not that it's sliding around while I'm trying to squeegee it out. And now that it's all anchored, the glue is going to start taking over because I've extracted all the water out. I'm just going to go around and I'm going to squeegee all this out. So this is all squeegeed out. You could do it again, just mist the glass with a little soapy water, wipe off your squeegee, and squeegee it out. So now that we're done with that window, we're just going to shut the door of the machine, and we just want to inspect to make sure that we don't see any bubbles that we could potentially push out. And once we're satisfied with the window, we'll move on to the next, which is this roll up. So with this roll up on the Polaris machines, they're very easy to do. Just gonna wipe down this customer's door panel. It is just Johnson & Johnson's baby soap and a little Dawn. It's not gonna hurt anything, but we'll wipe it down. So with this, that's an advantage over the Can-Am machines, is this gasket easily removes. So the gasket's literally just pressed in there. You just lift up, pull it out. You may have to take like a plastic tool and push up on the gasket, but this part goes towards the window. Just pop it out, set it off to the side. We're going to then take our soapy water mix. We're going to just mist it on there. And we're just going to razor blade the bottom quarter of the window, working behind the gaskets and working a little bit behind there. So what we're going to do is, again, mist the quarter part of the window, razor blade it all down, pushing any contaminants and dirt down into the bottom of the glass. This is a manual crank machine, so we're just going to roll down the window about 3 inches. We're going to take our spray bottle and just mist this top edge, wipe this. The reason we want to wipe is there's the crown of this. We want to make sure there's no dirt sitting on this crown. So now that we know that that's clean, we're going to mist the glass again. And we're going to take our razor blade and we're just going to squeegee downwards. So we're listening for dirt. We're getting behind our gaskets. We're going to squeegee this. I do believe this is a relatively new machine that has been very low hours, very low miles. So I'm going to razor blade it once. If your machine's dirty, razor blade it twice. Then I'm going to take my install tool. I'm going to mist the soapy water on here again. And I'm going to squeegee this center out and down and down. And I just want to make sure that this is all clean. I want to stick my tool behind here and just kind of flush this bottom area out. Since you guys don't have peel boards at home, we're going to use this piece of glass right here. So I'm going to mist the outside. I'm going to actually come and grab my piece of film. You guys would be grabbing this out of your box. I'm grabbing it off the board. So we're going to set this piece of film on this glass. Liner side's towards me. I'm confident that this is the passenger window of the machine. Always double check. When you're working on the film, the liner side should be towards you. So that is the clear part. So again, the clear part's towards me, leaving the sticky part on the glass. We want to make sure when we spray this, we're not going to spray up here, thus rinsing dirt into our film area. That's how you get contaminants. We want to make sure that the outside of this is really clean. So now that we have this clean and squeegeed, and we have this cleaned and squeegeed, we're going to wet our glass, and we're going to rinse top to bottom. So hopefully any contaminants, dirt, debris, dust that has landed on the window is now rinsed down. We're going to come back, we're going to mist this, we're going to peel it about halfway. So this is about halfway or a little over. You want to grab the film in this part that's not with the sticky side exposed. I'm taking my other hand and I'm grabbing it from the back. I'm going to carry it into this machine. I don't want to touch anything but the glass. So I've landed the film on the glass, and I want to kind of shove it behind this gasket. I want to create a little bit of a ripple, and I just want to drop it in. You could see how well that fits. The top edge is super nice, very crisp. So we can position this up. Obviously you don't want to be over the top edge, because if you're over the top edge, you'll have an issue with peeling. So now that I'm happy with my gap, I'm going to mist the film. I'm going to take my pink install tool, and I'm just going to squeegee this outwards, center out, and I'm going to squeegee it down to my about, you want to stop about an inch or 2 inches above your where you haven't peeled, your 50% mark. I'm going to squeegee all this out. I'm going to run my squeegee behind here to ensure that there's no bubbles. And we're going to go up with the window. So I want to put my hand here, and I just want to slowly crank the window up. You got to be careful, because that will cause, it can cause, certain to cause our film to shift a little bit. And what you're going to do is, now that this is all the way up, you're actually going to mist water on here, rinsing any contaminants down, and then you're just going to peel your liner away, and you're going to grab in the center of your film, creating like that ripple effect, wet your film, and then you're just going to simply drop your film in from the sides, and it will actually go below this bottom gasket. So I like to use my hand. I rake out the film, ensuring that there's no big bubbles that are going to create a crease. And then again, I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure. I'm putting my hand here to feel if the film's shifting, and I'm putting a little pressure towards the glass to make sure that the film's not shifting. It did shift a little bit, so I'm going to show you guys how to correct that. So now, because there's not a gasket here, there's nothing to irritate this film. So I'm going to roll down my window a little bit, and my gaps changed tremendously. So what I'm going to do is, because there's soapy water here, it's not very humid right now or warm, we can just easily slide that. I'm happy with that top edge again. We could do that, and we'll just roll it back up, and we'll just want to make sure we do another squeegee. And again, I'm going to use my fingertips just to feel, putting pressure to the glass and feel if the film is shifting. So now that's done, I'm going to wipe off my door jamb. It's up to you guys if you want to leave your seals out for an hour, let the film cure, but you can put it back in at this point. You cannot roll up and down the window for about 3 days. Depends where you are humidity wise. If you're somewhere where it's super humid, you can probably do 2 days. We're gonna throw this customer seal back in. Simply just drop it in, and it goes right back in its home. So we'll move on to the driver's front window. We're gonna bring our same razor blade and our towels up front. Again, the driver's fronts on these machines are very simple. Simply just pop this seal out. Once the seal's out, we gain access to fish that behind there. And we're just gonna mist some soapy water on here. Actually, we're gonna wipe this all down. Wanna make sure that this is all wiped. And then after we got it wiped, we're gonna wanna make sure that we razor blade the whole glass. So I'm razor blading all my dirt down, doing about the bottom quarter of the window. I did hear some dirt in here, so I'm just gonna make sure I razor blade that again, so I'm 100% satisfied that I got the grit off the glass. I'm using my blade at a very fine angle. I'm actually putting my fingertips behind the blade and then just gliding the blade down. We're not trying to scratch the glass, we're simply trying to glide the razor blade off and get any debris. So we're gonna roll our window down about the 2 to 3 inch mark again. We're gonna mist our top edge and wipe. So we're gonna wipe off our top edge, ensuring that there's no dirt up here. Once completed, we're gonna spray some more soapy water on the glass, and we're going to razor blade the whole window again. So I'm just razor blading all the way down. I'm gonna do it a second time. Again, this customer is getting the ceramic tint. The ceramic tint is great for heat rejection. We do not get crazy hot extended times in Wisconsin, but we do get some hot days. So the heat's gonna, or the heat rejection of the film is gonna help cool off the cab of the machine and help the AC be a little more efficient. So we're gonna take our towel again and our install tool. We're gonna mist soapy water on the glass, kind of giving it that rinse effect. And then we're gonna take our squeegee, we're gonna wipe it off before it touches the glass, and then we're gonna just start at the center and work our way outwards, getting behind the gasket to ensure that there's no dirt behind there. Now that this is all done and squeegeed, we're gonna flush this corner out. Outside, we're gonna ensure that it's the proper way. The rounded corner up here, and then the long slant with the gap down here by the mirror. We're gonna anchor this to the machine, and we're just gonna kind of squeegee this down. That's gonna ensure when we lift our liner, we don't peel the tint off the glass and onto the ground. So I'm just gonna re-squeegee this. So I'm just gonna wet this down. I'm gonna take our install tool and our rag, and we're just gonna squeegee all this downwards, ensuring that any dirt or debris that potentially landed on the glass is not gonna be gone. We'll flush out our bottom. And now we're ready for an install. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna wet our glass. We're gonna hopefully rinse any dirt, debris, sand, gravel down to the bottom. We're gonna come over here. We're not gonna hit our top plastic piece or our glass. We're gonna peel about half of this down, and we don't wanna touch the glue side. So you wanna pinch right here, carry it on open-handed, and not touch anything else. So what we're gonna do is, this is a little tricky, because the door is closed, but we're gonna open up the door, and we're gonna come in here and we're just gonna drop the film onto the glass. And once the film's on the glass, it will slip around because of your slip solution. And you don't want this to flop and like touch the side pillars or anything like that. You want it to land just on the glass. So now that we got this on the glass, we're just gonna try to work out, there's this big hump in here. We just gotta get that to go behind the gaskets. These have deep forgiving gaskets. So you just gotta kind of fish your film behind there. So now the film is where it wants to be. We're going to mist our soapy water on there, and we're just gonna squeegee this out. And there's where the soapy water kind of overpowers you. So you wanna just kind of make sure that it's not shifting. We do have a little bit too much soap in this mix today for the temperatures that are. The lower the temperature, the less soap you need. The higher the temperature and humidity, the more soap you'll need. So we want to make sure that that's good. I'm happy with that. We're going to roll up this window. Again, it's a manual window, so we're just going to roll it up. And we're going to rinse out this bottom half, getting soapy water, rinsing all the dirt away. And then we're going to peel our liner. So now that it's peeled, I'm just gonna grab right here. It's gonna cause the film to pick up over here. I'm gonna mist this with our spray bottle, and I'm just gonna fish this film down. And what's gonna happen is it's all gonna kind of drop into where it needs to go. And once you got it to drop in, we're just gonna fish the film down, boom. And we kind of just wanna guide the film in. So again, because of the soapy water mix, this is really sliding around. But once we're happy with it, and we're gonna shift this a little bit. I got it laid flat. I'm happy, all the film's laid flat without big bumps and ripples. We're gonna take our install tool and we're just gonna push all of this down, wipe off, and push all of it down. We wanna make sure we get behind our gasket, squeezing out all the excess water. And again, we'll wanna check our top edge. Looks good, hasn't shifted. We got a nice crisp top edge, and squeegee all of this down. Awesome, we'll go on to the driver's side next. All right, so I'm gonna show you a different method on the driver's side. We popped the lower gasket, we've razor bladed the glass, we've wiped our top edge. We're gonna show you the full peel method. So we're gonna wet our whole glass down, again creating a rinsing effect. And then we're gonna come over to our film. Normally this would be on the outside of your machine. We're gonna use our peel board for this demo. We're gonna pull off our whole liner. We're gonna wet our whole liner, again, not touching the sprayer to where we could be rinsing anything in, we're gonna actually grab our film, grab the back of it. Now that the whole thing is exposed, we're gonna drop our front edge in. Because the gasket's not there, this method can be easier for people. So on this machine, we'll show you both. So now with our soapy water, this is gonna give you the ability to slide this down and just kind of work this in. So this may look more difficult. It actually can be easier for some people. So now what we're gonna do is we're just, again, this indicates how well the soapy water reacts. So there we go. I'm super happy with that top edge. The whole film's fished in. I don't have to worry. It didn't touch any of the pillars. Use my pink install tool. This top edge is super nice. So we're going to do that. Squeegee it out, making sure that we get the soapy water out from behind our gaskets. I'm gonna squeegee all this down, wipe off my blade, and we're just gonna roll this door up. And once up, we're just gonna squeegee out the bottom. Again, I'm gonna use my thumb on the glass just as an indicator to see if my film's slipping. I'm gonna take my squeegee and I'm gonna run out this side. So you can use either method. I think I prefer that method on this door, on these doors, over the two-stage method. The two-stage method kind of becomes handy on the Can-Am machines. You guys bought Polaris. So we're just gonna come out here, we're gonna look at this window, and we're just gonna wipe it off, make sure we're extremely happy with it. We've got all of our soapy water extracted, not that there's a bubble. And then we can move on to the back doors. So again, we're just gonna pop our bottom gasket out. I don't have film cut next to me, might as well cut this.
Yep.
Almost cut my hand. That fucking fit really nice.
I did.
So I'm gonna back this out. And then I'm gonna zoom in here. I'm gonna round that corner just as much. And then I'm gonna go File, Save. And I'm gonna zoom this out. And then I need this door. And we have to do a banner.
And a banner?
Yep.
We sell banners?
Yes.
Okay.
One banner. Are you still filming?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not gonna say that.
Say it.
One banner, like if you order the banner separately, like you order the banner alone, it's $100 for just that. But then you gotta remember it's shipping. Like just shipped one to a guy in Alaska, it was $19.50 to ship.
Look at that. We got some new tint.
So then,
Amazon Prime shipping. You're gonna have to cut some things out of the video.
yeah, that's fine. I kind of wish you would have cut that. So I don't really know how I'm going to cut that out.
I mean,
How do you break it?
just cut it.
Okay. Alright. I guess I don't really know how, but I can learn.
I can show you how to cut in a video.
I was going to ask why.
It's one button. That's all it takes.
Alright, so now we're going to work on this window here, this quarter. We're going to take, I want to make sure that this is all clean. There is a lot of dirt on here, so I'm going to take my rag and just wipe this whole window and frame down. I find that these quarter windows are very easy to do installs in, so I'm going to mist my soapy water on the glass. I'm going to take a brand new single edge razor blade. I'm going to get behind the gaskets. I'm just going to squeegee everything downwards. I'm going to do that again to ensure that the glass is clean and free of debris. On a machine like this, you guys will probably go through 2 spray bottles of water. You want to make sure you're getting your water from a clean source. You want to make sure that you have ample amount of soap in there. These are good windows to start with to see if your slip solution is enough for your temperature. So we'll wet that down again. We're going to take our pink install squeegee, get behind these gaskets, and rinse all the dirt and contaminants down to the bottom. So now, this is anchored to my glass, liner side towards me. We're gonna peel, we're gonna do a dry install, we're gonna wet our film down only, and we're gonna grab this and we're gonna flop it to the back side of my arm. We're gonna press it to the glass and we're gonna drop in. And with your install tool, you will get this gasket tool. Sometimes you do need this. Just shove your gasket tool in there, it'll open up the gasket. We're gonna drop down and below, and we're going to allow that to touch the glass, and we're gonna shift back up. Perfect. Now I can shift my pattern if I need be. I'm happy, there's no light gaps. These machines fit these quarter windows very well, they're very giving. So we'll squeegee all this out. Missed our film, do another quick squeegee outwards. And come out here and just check to make sure that there's no bubbles or anything that we're not happy with. So we're going to use the outside of this driver's front to do our back door. So we're going to mist here. We popped our bottom gasket out. We're going to razor blade this like we have. This is our last window of the machine besides our windshield banner. So we're going to mist this. I didn't like the grit I heard on these two doors. This side of the machine is a little more gritty than the other side, so I want to razor blade this twice. Roll down our window, wipe our top edge, ensuring that this edge is clean. Missed our soapy water solution on here again. Probably going to end up razor blading this window twice. And I still hear some grit, so I'm gonna hit it again with some soapy water and razor blade it again. And then we're going to take our install tool, mix our soapy water on here. We're gonna squeegee off this, flush it all downwards, getting behind the gaskets, and flush out this bottom. We're gonna take and wet our driver's front door that we've already tinted, and we're going to take our piece of film, liner side towards us. We're gonna put it on here, and then we're gonna pick up our install tool from the ground, wiping that off, making sure there's not any dirt on it. That's anchored. We'll do a full peel method on this side also. So what I want to do is, it's nice using that piece of glass because it's right here. So I'm going to wet this down. We want to act quick, but not too quick. Want to wet our glass. Want to come, peel this whole thing downwards and wet it. Throw the liner on the ground. You don't need it anymore. And then we're going to grab our film, backhand it, and we're just going to make contact to the glass. And we're going to fish our film behind this front gasket here and below, and we're just going to allow the soapy water to kind of take over and let us fish that down. We want to create a little bit of a ripple here, get behind that gasket, and now fish up our film. Check for our side light gaps, line up our top edge so we're satisfied. I'm happy there, it's a good fit. Missed our soapy water on there. Take our pink install tool, squeegee all this out. It was a very smooth install. I think on these machines I would do it that way. Roll this up, making sure it doesn't shift, and squeegee out the bottom a little bit. You're gonna wanna do 2 passes, so you roll this back down just a smidge, miss some soapy water on it, put your thumb on the glass, and squeegee it all out and down. Ensuring that you get behind these side, and then you just wanna squeegee out this little bottom quarter. So we'll wipe down our door panel, reinstall our gasket, check to make sure we don't have any bubbles. I think I saw a bubble in this window. Show you what that kind of looks like. I think it's actually just a drop. Yeah, it was just a drop of soapy water. Unfortunately, I can't show you what a bubble would look like on camera. We will check this window out, make sure we're happy with it. And that is how you tint the back doors and quarter windows on a Can-Am, or I'm sorry, a Polaris.